Hello Professor, my name is Manan Chaudhary and today I'm going to present my second assignment, that is real-time data extraction from social media handles. So the objectives of the assignment are to build a web application that allows real-time acquisition of feeds, storing them in a database, and for additional things I have just displayed them on my website also. The tools and languages that I've used are Python programming, TweePy for my extraction from a Twitter API, Pro for Reddit, and HTML for basic HTML pages, CSS for enhancing them, and tools are MongoDB for storing and my online database server, Flask for developing the sites, PyCharm for editing, and my preferred IDE, and Chrome for testing it. So the data model I have created for both Twitter and Reddit are here. So there's tweet ID that just displays the unique ID to identify the tweet, tweet time that displays the time, tweet content, so the content, the tweet that we have posted. So here's another two things for extra functionality. So the user mentioned, so the @ in the tweet are present, and the hashtags. For Reddit I have done a similar thing. So the ID for the Reddit post. So Reddit posts usually have a title and the content. So title is mandatory, content can be optional. So the title contains the title of the Reddit post, and score is the score that your post gets over time. Post content is the content, as I said, and subreddit is the subreddit page, or you can say post where you are posting it. And created is the time here, and time of creation, and number of comments is numComment is the number of comments that your post gets. So coming on to the main thing, the code and the outputs. So I'll just give a short demo of my site. The site is already up and running. As you can see, I'll just go back to the home page. This is my home page. First I'll show you the Twitter API functioning. Here you can see a simple input that shows you that where you can input, and these are my old tweets. So it extracted data. I'll come on the code later, so I'll just put, hey, how's it going? So I'll add Sheeran because I'm a fan of him. It has new album. So I'll just tweet successful. It will render again, and you can see here's my new tweet displayed in the MongoDB. Here's the Twitter data and the collection. I'll just refresh it. Here you can see that 10 I've now increased to 11. This is my latest tweet here, and here comes the main part. That will it be updated on my Twitter handle? And yes, here's the new tweet that is posted 22 seconds ago. And now I'll show you the functioning of my Reddit part. So here it takes the title. So I follow the office very closely, and I'll just post a thing that I posted earlier. Pam and Jim are good. Just put it as a question mark to start a discussion. I can enter a description, it's optional. So what are thoughts? I'll just post it successfully. Here you cannot see because I extracted the hot post from the subreddit Dunder Mifflin. So mine is just a recent post and it is not become a hot post. So hot post depends on the number of comments and score and upvotes. But I'll show you that it has been posted. So this was a previous one. I'll just refresh. Pam and Jim are good. So here you can see. So what are your thoughts? Here is the post that I created, and it's here on my Twitter handle and the subreddit I posted. So now I'll get back to the code. Here are the few libraries that I used. Flask for creating the website, TweePy for the Twitter API, Pro for Reddit API, Datetime for manipulation of date and times, PyMongo for the MongoDB connection. Here is the Flask connection that I created. So app is the variable that stores the Flask constructor. The first comes the Twitter connection. So we are provided with a consumer key when we create an app, a consumer secret, an access token to access the API functionings and the secret for the authentication. So first we create an authentication variable using the OAuth handler function, in which we pass the consumer key and the consumer secret, so that provides our authorization. And then we set the access token so that we uniquely identify the application that we are using, so access token and access token secret. And now we are creating an API using the API function and providing the authentication, and this is stored in the API variable. Moving, we have now the Twitter DB connect. So this function connects us to the Mongo client and stores the data there and returns the extracted tweets. So here is the Mongo client variable using the Mongo client function. As earlier in the previous assignment, we pass a server and then we pass the name of the database, and then using in the Mongo client, and then we pass the name of the collection here. So I've used a collection.delete many, so the delete many function deletes all the previous data in there to avoid the duplication of data. And now is the main thing, using the API and the function user timeline. So this extracts data from the user timeline. Screen name is the ID. This is my ID, Manan CH, and the number behind it. Count is the number of tweets, at the maximum number of tweets that we can take from it or extract that we want to extract. And tweet mode extended just extends the length of the post that it can store. So usually it will not store the whole text that is provided, so to store the whole text we use this parameter. Now all the data is stored in the form of dictionaries in this public tweet variable. Now we are extracting, or you can say separating the data, so extracting the tweet ID, created at, full text. User mentioned is a bit tricky part because it's stored in entity key, and in entity key there's another dictionary, and in that there's a user mentioned. So there can be multiple users, so I'm using a for loop to extract those. The screen name is the name of the user, like mine ID is there, so there is also the user ID. Similarly for hashtag, it is also present in entities. And using the insert one function to insert it in our MongoDB database and passing the dictionary to it. Now returning the public tweet, so we'll come back to that. And this is a similar function that displays the tweet, so this is already here. So moving on to the Flask part of it, so tweet home, this is a tweet home HTML that renders it, and we are just creating a database connection here so that every time this page renders, the whole database gets updated, and we pass it to the web page. I'll come to back to that later. And now a post tweet function, so this is the main function that posts the tweet live on our Twitter handle. We get the argument from the web page where we entered from the form, and using the update status functions and passing the text, we create a new post. Simple as that. And now we redirect back to the Twitter homepage. So that's it for Twitter, and now I'll move on to the Reddit part. So it works similarly. In Reddit, I'm creating a instance for Reddit connection using the I pass the authentications using the client ID and the client secret. User agent is usually the name of the app that we created. This is my username, and this is my password authentication. Now moving to the database connection, so it follows a similar path using the subreddit database and the Reddit's connection, deleting to avoiding duplication. And here is the main part, that hot posts are extracted from the subreddit called Dunder Mifflin. So it is simple that using the Reddit instance we created earlier and mentioning the subreddit sorry about that, and using the hot function here, so it gives us the hot posts that are on those subreddit, and limiting it to 10 posts. So there are many posts, so just limiting it to 10. And now I've created a list in which we'll be separating the data, or you can say extracting the data. Here, just to verify those, I have printed the titles. And now using the post title, post.title, post.score, IDs, .subreddit, .number of comments, and .self text, which creates the description or the body. And using the datetime library here to format the datetime based on my convenience. And now we are storing one by one in the post list. And now using this post list, we created a new dictionary, which is then stored in the MongoDB database. Now for the Flask part of it, I've created a Red home. So it depicts Reddit home, where similarly using the similar functioning of the Twitter, we pass the database connection here so that it is refreshed every time we make an update. And we render the HTML page. I'll come back to the HTML page later. And similarly, now here is the post Reddit part. We request the arguments, the two arguments, that is the title and the content, and then mentioning the Reddit API, we mention the subreddit where we need to post, and using the submit function we post that the title and the body there. Now coming to the HTML pages, this is the Twitter HTML page. It contains a CSS style sheet that is already available through the net, a script that just shows the alert when we press the button here that the tweet has been successfully posted. This is a link to my Twitter handle, the button, and the input where we input our. So as you can see, here is the Q parameter that is extracted here. Yeah. So we can input the data here. Now here comes the main part that displays the data from the tweet data that we extracted is now displayed here using a for loop. So using the for loop, tweet in tweets, here you can see we pass tweets here. So the public tweets that we extracted, public tweets are my tweets that are posted, and I pass it as a parameter to the HTML page. Using the script, I use the for loop and go through each one by one, and using the dictionary format, I use the full text, created time, and then a for loop again for the users, and hashtags for the hashtags. And here is the end of the for loop. This is the Twitter page, and similarly we have the Reddit homepage. So in the Reddit homepage there are two inputs rather than one as in Twitter page. So the first is TT for the title and SF text for the container text, or you can say the description. Here you can see that we are requesting those. Yeah. So while posting, we request the TT title and store it in red underscore title and red underscore body, which is passed and then posted in the live on the Reddit subreddit that we mentioned. Here also, to display the hot post on our HTML page, we use the for loop for post in post. You can see similarly that we have passed post as a argument here, which we extracted using the Reddit API, and we are just using an indexing to display the subreddit name, the time it is posted at, the title of the post, the body of the post, score, and the number of comments. And here's an end to that for loop. Now coming to the last part, the index part, I have here just used old style formatting here for different tags. Here you can see I've used it as a heading, welcome to HTML, world of APIs, and where do you want to dive into. Now here are the images that I've sourced, and here is the hyperlink that takes us to the Reddit home, and here is the link that takes us to the Twitter home. The images are directly extracted from Google, and here is pasted so that when we are on a different machine, we do not face something that is local to the machine and get the images properly. Here I have just mentioned height and width of the images for purposes of ease of purpose. Sorry, that's a fumble. So I've already showed you the Twitter MongoDB here. This is the Reddit data and the Reddit collection here, in which the hot posts and their required data is stored. And here is the Twitter. As you can see, this was my latest new album post that I created. Coming back to the PPT, it is just the same things and the things I've already explained. And I'll just add the link here, and these are few references. And thank you so much for the presentation. Have a good day.